Under a toadstool lived a sprite. Each blade of grass was twice her height. She played beautiful melodies on a magical lute. The frog in the pond was who she played to. Lilies floated on the pond, lotus flowers peppered all around. The frog sat entranced by the harmonious sound. Nearby, a fairy was levitating over a lake, as a swan swooned trying to secure its mate. Elves pranced and danced through the glade. Lovers abandoned their clothes as by a lagoon love was made. Toadstools stood tall as beetles wandered past. Tulips stood proud as ants scuttled fast. Snail in its shell, slow and steady winning the race. Dragonfly on a dandelion, look of happiness on its face. Dewdrops across the gossamer on a silky spider web, hanging off a jutting out rock that made a ledge. Above a pool of crystal clear water, shimmering in the sunlight as elves played instruments and danced all around. Their happiness made the demons frown. And as long as they continued to play music, they kept the monsters at bay. They've been peaceful now for over 100,000 days. The wood elves lived at one with the forest, treating nature with an innate love so honest. They cared for the trees and spoke to them every day, nurturing them in many different ways. In response, the trees bore them a myriad of different fruits, sweet, sour, hard, soft, whatever would suit. The colours of the fruit were all those in the rainbow, and many had flavours that were strange, so the elves loved the trees, for they provided them with food and they understood what to do to help the trees be the best for themselves and the elves too. There was a magnificent stone bridge that had stood for centuries and would stand for many more, and on one side of it was a magnificent door, made of the finest oak in all the land. It was covered in magical runes and was the entrance to the magical land, where the griffins lived on a magical mountain and drank from an enchanted fountain. They were like massive eagles crossed with lions, talented eyes that could spy from up high on the winds where they floated with finesse and grace, flying everywhere from place to place, above the clouds and up towards the moon, where the sky was blue like the bluest lagoon, and through the day into the night, where the darkness enveloped the world, obscuring it from light, with the exception of the glitter of the stars so bright, glistening from up above, such a magnificent sight. From down below they appeared to be laid out in a variety of shapes, and it was judged that the different constellations could affect your fate. There was a magical girl who lived in this world, born under a magical star as a blessing, but before she could learn to cast spells, she had to pass a few lessons. So one day she was sent out into the world by her teachers. She first went to the beautiful beaches. Crabs scuttled sideways across the white hot sand, the most beautiful beaches in all of the land. The waves crashed on the shore as fish swam through the sea, alongside octopus and squid, the strangest creatures you'd ever see. The beach was adorned with shells of a plentiful amount. There were more and a bigger variety than you could ever count, because every time a wave lapped the shore, it would bring with it many more. So she learned that sometimes how much is not important, it's really that the supply is endlessly restoring. From the beach she swam into the sea, kicking her feet and wiggling her hips, swimming amongst the fish and the ships. She spotted a vessel and climbed aboard. The people on the boat seemed so pure, but when they spotted her gold medallion, it became clear that they were rapscallions. They tried to steal her gold and were willing to fight to the end for it, but she remembered the shells on the beach and how they were replenished, so she threw the gold into the sea and the pirates all dove in too. They were swept away by the waves because of their greed, nothing they could do. And now she realized she was the proud owner of a ship, and learnt sometimes you must make sacrifices in order to advance a bit. She steered the ship for a day and a night, and when she awoke with a fright, for she had sailed right next to a mountain where a dragon sat and chewed. She didn't know that he had a bad tooth, and as he chewed he moaned in pain. He said he would only free her if this situation she could change. So she thought about sacrifices and decided to give up her boat. You could use the mast and sail to brush your teeth, but please don't choke. I'll give that a try, what a fantastic idea, said the dragon as he lifted her near. He snapped the mast and brushed his teeth and felt a lot happier. He smiled, and she was a little scared because up close his jaw seemed snappier. You gave me your boat, so now I owe you. Tell me, sweet child, where would you like to go to? I'd like to go home now, please. I think I've learnt my lessons. Well, I will take you there, for you have passed the test, and you can now cast magical spells. They travelled that eve, and the journey went well. And before she knew it, she was back home before 10. She thanked the dragon and never judged on appearance again. She had learnt her lessons, and so she became a wizard, and the first thing she did was to magic up a lizard, and ride on the back of the lizard to the land of the sprites, where she thanked them for playing music so nice. Next she rode the lizard to the elven wood. She cast a spell to keep the demons away forever and asked the elves how to do good, and they explained how they helped the trees and the trees helped them. So she returned home and her people implemented this system, and they saw their lives get better every day as they helped the trees and the trees helped them in many different ways. They lived happily this way for a long, long time, and together they all helped make the world shine, helping the trees and the world along their way as she learnt new spells every day. She magically teleported to the dragon one day at noon and asked him to fly her up to the moon. He was happy to oblige, and she hopped on his back and he gave her a ride. She had heard there were some people who lived on the moon, but when they arrived, they found they were talking baboons. They travelled around on the back of a space turtle. The giant space turtle's name was Myrtle. Myrtle the space turtle had hurt her shell when she came down to land and slipped and fell. The baboons asked the girl if she could make it well, and so she cast a magical spell, and the turtle was magically better again. The baboons wanted to help their new friend. They gave her a magical potion taken from the moon's laughing ocean. She thanked them and returned home to share her gift. Her friends at home said she had been sorely missed. Together they drank the magic potion, and their lives were filled with laughter, and they all lived happily ever after. The end.